ability and taking that pledge, the LPF membership term resets the current approval date. That is the motion. Since it is from the Rules Committee under our established authority of the bylaws, it does not require seconds. The rationale as presented by the previous Rules Committee, these sentences to be stricken are not as clear as possible. We believe the replacements are clearer as important as the ability of membership requests to automate membership starting in processes, and reflect our current manual practice as we're actually doing. So to interpret that a little bit, what this is doing is just clarifying that if you take any actions that terminate your LPF membership, such as re-registration with another political party, not only will it automatically terminate your membership, if you had applied for membership, it will cancel that too. In all cases, you consistently have to reapply once you're eligible. The current Rules Committee agrees with the previous Rules Committee's assessment of this motion.
That is the motion. Is there any discussion on this motion?
So on the second part, or one of those parts of the motion, they move to strike that they have to reaffirm the pledge if their membership is terminated for some reason. Why would we not want that? Have to go through that? Like, what is the reasoning behind that? I'm not clear on it. If somebody's membership is terminated because they signed up for another party, why would we not ask them to reaffirm the pledge? In the event, just clarify on that. The time thing takes too much time.
So I am not able to speak for the previous Rules Committee. If Mr. Calaret, who was on the previous Rules Committee, wishes to speak to that, he may be able to address that point. At least my interpretation would be, since our membership request process does involve taking an pledge, having that specified would be redundant.
Okay, so yeah, so having that language is just redundant. It doesn't really change anything. If somebody changes their party affiliation, they still need to sign an act pledge again to be reaffirmed that.
Yes.
The language is unnecessary. Understood.
Is there anyone else seeking to raise else? If not, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Moving right along, 2022 AB public notice requirement with amendments. Amends the LPF Constitution, Article 3, striking the movement and inserting language as follows. In Section 5, subsection C, striking the comma after executive. In subsection D, striking signatures and replacing with the inserted text published on the LPF's public enforcement website. This is the motion as submitted by the previous Rules Committee and then amended by this Rules Committee. The previous Rules Committee did not actually have a written rationale for this one. However, the rationale is obvious. This is codifying what we actually do, which is publish our notice on our functional website. Not only is this our actual practice, it's our actual practice for a very good reason. It is legally mandated by the statute. The statute 103.0952. So bringing our Constitution in line with those laws and practice seems prudent.
Is there any discussion on this item? Yes, if you can do some microphone.
Okay. I move to amend the LPF Constitution, Article 4, Section 1, by inserting this phrase after the Florida County. Or contingent Florida County with fewer than 1,000 voters registered as LPF. Okay, let me explain why I am proposing. If you look at a map of our county, that many of you have also seen on the website, the great majority of the counties that are less than 1,000 members in registered with the area. As a matter of fact, 43 of them are under 1,000. And for the ones that are affiliated, only 10 are under 1,000. The problem that arises there is that it's very difficult to function in a country with a very small population. I am now working with this data, trying to get counties affiliated, calling people who are registered in foreign to do it. And I find it difficult with these small counties, being able to affiliate with, there's just not enough people that you can call and will actually show up with. So I should be able to find and to have an affiliation system that covers contiguous counties that are very shallow.
I appreciate your motion to amend, unfortunately, it is out of order due to our notice requirements. Due to notice requirements. It is not.
Oh, I have that, I don't notice it, okay.
I really encourage Mr. Mahias to submit his motion to the next rules committee for consideration, so it can be potentially included in the rules.
Is there any? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. The ayes have it.
All right. 2022 ADM CO3, redundant committees. As amended. I move to amend the LPF Constitution, Article 3, Section 4, striking the language as follows. Subsection I in its entirety. I'll read it out. Subsection A, the executive committee shall be responsible for creating a committee to maintain a current contact list of experts in fields related to election issues or interests as data and advisory services. B, the executive committee shall establish a legislative review committee for the purpose of identifying Florida laws for change or repeal and for making specific wording recommendations for use by the regime candidates and officers. Subsection C, LPF established committees use online platforms providing notice of the meeting website address on the LPF website in which non-committee LPF members may have the credentials to view but not participate in committee discussions and visits. This is the motion that the Rules Committee has made. This motion was originally made last year. The rationale for it, the Constitution is not actually really prescribed committees. So these clauses are in the wrong location to begin with. Furthermore, out of the 3 subsections, subsection A grants the executive committee the authority to create a committee that would already create anyway without any such. This committee was never actually created, so for B, the shall establish a legislative review committee. We have a legislative review committee in our bylaws already as a standing committee. That's redundant. Subsection C gives committees the authority to operate online, which committees would have anyway, I believe. And then if the LPF Executive Committee wished to modify that in any way, that would be appropriate in the standing rules. And LPF members have the right to reserve committees in any case as granted by the LPF Constitution, Article 2. So we found all 3 of these subsections either unnecessary or redundant, and to simplify our Constitution, we remove them.
You're doing great. Is there any discussion on this?
They're having a discussion about Mr. Chair, point of information, Mr. Chair, for the benefit of the, please use microphones.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item.
All right, 2022 ADM CO4, Deputy Elections and Duties. I move to amend the LPF Constitution, Article 3, striking language as follows. Striking a deputy secretary may be elected under the same conditions and procedures as the secretary. If the secretary office is vacant, the deputy secretary shall automatically become the secretary. And then to insert new subsections C and D into the LPF Constitution, Article 3, Section 3 as follows, and renumber accordingly. New subsection C, moving the existing text, a deputy secretary may be elected under the same conditions and procedures as the secretary. New text, in the existing text, the secretary office, new text becomes existing text vacant. The deputy secretary shall, new text, immediately assume the office and not be subject to confirmation. New subsection D, all text in this subsection is hidden. A deputy treasurer may be selected by the same procedure as the treasurer. The chair and vice chair may not be elected to be the treasurer. If there is a the deputy treasurer shall immediately assume the office and not be subject to confirmation. A deputy treasurer shall not serve concurrently on the LPF audit committee and shall be ineligible for proxy meetings of the executive committee unless elected by the treasurer. And finally, to amend LPF Constitution, Article 3, Section 4, subsection C, striking and adding text as follows. This is subsection D, not subsection C. I got it on my own paper. Strike the word appraised and replace it with apprised. Strike the words his or her and replace the event of before absence. Insert by the secretary after or incapacity. Insert the secretary, then strike and. Insert certain tasks and prior responsibilities and strike thereto afterwards. Insert of the office of the deputy secretary as being necessary and appropriate by the secretary. And to amend LPF Constitution Article 3, Section 4, subsection D. So actually subsection E after the voting paper. Apologize, this one got a little confusing. We should capitalize deputy treasurer, strike appraised and replace with apprised. Insert, strike his or her and replace in the event of. Insert by the treasurer, period, the treasurer, and then strike and. Insert certain tasks and strike thereto. Insert of the office of the deputy treasurer is deemed necessary and appropriate by the treasurer. Insert the words and liable after and subject. Strike organization and replace LPF. Insert all applicable for state and federal. Strike bureaus and replace with laws and regulations, and strike the governing part. This was a somewhat complicated wordsmithing amendment. If anyone needs me to read what the text would sound like after this change, I think folks have done their read ahead and you'll need that. That is the motion made by the Rules Committee. The originally submitted rationale is that this motion restructures Article 3 so that the language regarding deputy secretary and deputy treasurer is easier to find and consistent with all of these positions. And to make sure that the duties of these positions are properly assigned.
All right, is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll move on to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
All right, here's where we're going to get a little bit of a different order, because I forgot when we prepared the rule board and do all the constitution. So we're going to do 2022 ADM CO5. affiliate procedures and requirements. That's almost a few. ABM, affiliate procedures and requirements.
You're not seeing a seal body, you're not raising your hand. Was that the listening very careful? Yeah, you're not seeing seal body, you're not allowed to use this.
Okay, this one is a pretty easy one in any case. Thank you. With a twist. So, contingent on the 2023 ABM VO2, which we will consider later, I move to amend the LPF Constitution, Article 4, by appending a new section appropriately numbered. County affiliates shall not raise or expend funds for federal campaigns except following coordination with the LPF. That is the entirety of the text being added. The rationale on this originally from the previous rules committee is a campaign law, finance law is complicated. Federal campaign finance law is extra complicated. It has different limitations and different regulations than the state and local law that most of our county affiliates are used to. And on top of that, contributions from local county affiliates to federal candidates both subject those county affiliates to the federal elections commissions and file their contributions that are shared between all county affiliates and the state party. So the state party has to ensure that none of the limits are exceeded in the aggregate. This particular for federal funds, this also typically applies for county affiliates that you need two bank accounts, one for state and local and one for federal. If you mix the funds, it all becomes subject to federal. In general, when you explain this to most county affiliates, they don't want to deal with that. It's a bank. That the LPF campaign. What this motion does is add a clause as a reminder to county affiliates that if you choose to support federal campaigns, you can only do so after discussing it with the LPF. If after that discussion, you choose to proceed anyway, knowing the regulations involved, that is still the choice of the county affiliate. So that's the rationale. Adlibbing a little bit from the previous rules committee, but I put it a little bit more down there. Okay.
So is it a package? She features away.
It's about 10 information you won't find in there.
And just a clarification, what this is talking about, the section very important is that if you're in an affiliate and you choose to support federal candidates as president, you are better served by letting the Libertarian Party of Florida know to give funds to us to make that expense, because otherwise, as soon as you donate to any federal campaign, your bank account is subject to FEC guidelines, which means you have to open up an account with the FEC, you have to make reports with the FEC instead of just the Florida Division election. So we'll go ahead and organize microphone one. Mr. Chancellor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mark Chancellor, Palm Beach County. I like the motion in general, except coordinate, is that either subjective or unclear? To what extent we're required an EC motion or some committee to approve it? What does coordinate actually mean?
Our interpretation of coordinate means informing the LPF executive committee, and that's it. The LPF executive committee does not have approval over it, it cannot deny it, just informing that these are the conditions you choose to accept.
Mr. Slusher. Nathan Slusher in Brevard County. Mr. Peel, while I appreciate the complications for those with this, I do, however, feel that at the county level affiliate both has the knowledge and the funding to run the federal campaign. They should not be prohibited from doing so if they did not speak to LPF. LPF in its whole should know the moment any federal candidate files. So I would find the burden to be on LPF to make contact with the county, not the other way around. I do not wish to see prohibitions on county affiliates who do have the ability to run these campaigns. Thank you.
Discussion on this motion.
Chair, I realize I forgot one important point.
Yes.
This motion was made contingent on the failure of a bylaws motion. The reason for that is that the bylaws motion is a more comprehensive motion to deal with the rights and responsibilities of affiliates. If that motion passes, this one will be redundant. However, if that motion does not pass, then this motion would take effect. Mr. Cutler.
So when you say that, we don't have to debate the other one first, like, that was what my question was going to be about the contingency. We haven't discussed that one yet we're discussing this one as contingent on the other. So let's say we pass both of them, what happens?
Would be out of order because of the contingency, the other motion would take effect.
Understood, thank you.
Is there any further discussion on this motion?
I'd just like to bring a point of information. Our government documents have a supremacy clause. If the Constitution amended, it supersedes bylaws.
That is correct, Mr. Cameron. Is that still true? The motion itself has a subordination.
Does the motion has a subordination clause to bylaws in the Constitution?
The motion has a clause that says this motion shall only take effect if the other motion. So it's a time and place at which it takes effect.
Oh, okay.
Would it be in order to motion to maybe suspend the rules to take care of the other one first, and then do this one? I think people would just feel more comfortable, not having to deal with the contingency effect.
I believe it would be. I would it here. I would suggest that perhaps the proper way to do that would be to move to postpone this motion definitely until after consideration of.
That would be acceptable, I still move.
All right, so I hear a motion to table this motion and consider. Well, it's called definitely. Does that include a motion to take up the other item, or is it just a motion to postpone it?
Mr. Chair, sir, point of information, I do believe the motion we just filed was to move this vote to immediately after the bylaws vote.
Understood.
Thank you.
Sir. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any objection to that motion?
On behalf of Marcus Reeder, I object.
Hearing no objections, we'll go ahead and move on. Motion passes.
All right. Appreciate y'all doing that proper order. So next up is 2022 ADM CO7, the last one from 2022 in the Constitution, by the way. I move to amend the LPF Constitution, Article 8, Section 2, subsection A, as follows: to strike the word among after published. This word, that is the motion, it is striking the one word among. The word was this when cleaning up this particular section in a previous motion, and now it's automatically in effect until we remove the among. That's no other effect other than that.
Most controversial one. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
All right, now for 2023 motions for new motions. The next up, and you're gonna have to hunt around for it a little bit again. I apologize for doing these out of order relative to our actual agenda. Lesson learned for next time. 2023 ADM CO1, affiliate rights and responsibilities. I move to amend the LPF Constitution Article 4 by replacing Section 1 as specified and then amending the sections following. So this strikes the entirety of the existing Section 1 under Article 4 and replaces it with a new Section 1 that reads as follows. The organization of LPF with no current LPF affiliated county political party executive committee and Fort County affiliate may petition following the new affiliate organizational process prescribed in the bylaws. Subsection A, a new county affiliate petition is approved by the majority of the executive or of the delegates, provided that it meets all conditions of affiliation prescribed by the LPF Constitution and bylaws. B, once a new county affiliate petition is approved, the county shall be considered an official LPF county political party executive committee for all applicable purposes under state law. No other petitions for county affiliates in that county shall be considered, so long as the approved county affiliate remains affiliated. Section 2. Every affiliate shall issue a re-affiliation to the LPF secretary if the affiliate was affiliated at any point during the preceding calendar year. Subsection A. The affirmation of re-affiliation must meet all requirements prescribed in the LPF Constitution and bylaws and considered timely and sufficient. Subsection B. Any affiliate that fails to submit timely and sufficient re-affiliation secretary shall automatically be disaffiliated at the adjournment of the next LPF executive committee after the deadline, if no other action is taken by the LPF executive committee. Subsection C. The LPF executive committee can grant by a 2/3 vote on extension of the affiliation deadline until the next executive committee regular business meeting for affiliate correcting deficiencies in the affiliation. Subsection D. The LPF executive committee can accept the re-affiliation incorrectly determined to be deficient by the LPF secretary by a 2/3 vote at the next meeting following the re-affiliation deadline, so long as the affiliate followed all re-affiliation requirements prescribed in the LPF Constitution and bylaws. Section 3. The autonomy of any affiliate shall not be abridged by the LPF executive committee, any other committee or agent of the LPF, or any other affiliate except as explicitly provided in the LPF Constitution and bylaws. Section 4. Affiliated to violate any conditions of affiliation prescribed in the LPF Constitution or bylaws by a 2/3 vote of the executive committee or a 2/3 vote of the LPF delegates at the annual business meeting. The executive committee of the affiliate being considered for disaffiliation shall have the right to speak for up to 30 minutes on behalf of their affiliate prior to any disaffiliation vote. Section 5. Upon disaffiliation, the former affiliate's chair, treasurer, and executive committee members shall return all assets owned by the affiliate and all assets owned by or leased from the LPF. These assets shall be provided to the LPF executive committee within 4 weeks of the final notice of disaffiliation to be held in escrow for the next future affiliate in that jurisdiction. Assets to be provided include but are not limited to web content, web services, email accounts and services, document and file storage, social media accounts, domain names, and any other cloud services owned by the affiliate. Administrative account access and credentials for all accounts and services owned by the affiliate. Materials and equipment and property owned by the affiliate. Data, records, warranties, and transaction receipts for the affiliate. Checking, savings, and monetary assets held in the affiliate's name. Section 6. No member of any disaffiliated organization shall continue to use the Libertarian Party or Libertarian Party of Florida name, associated brands, and electronic credentials and systems, except to communicate with the organization as ceased operation, ceased operation as an LPF affiliate, or to complete returning assets to the LPF. So that is the motion as prepared by the Rules Committee. It's a bit of a long one. It's basically codifying our actual practice on handling affiliation, re-affiliation, and disaffiliation in the Constitution as a foundational process for the party structure. The sections on return of assets reflect what we have traditionally done by custom, but were never actually codified. Same is true for the section on use of the party's name and branding, which is protected by Florida statute as well. I would say the only other substantive changes is giving a well-defined process as to when a affiliate fails to re-affiliate and how to overrule the secretary if the secretary incorrectly determines that they were deficient. These are processes that have been, shall we say, controversial in the past, and this provides a framework for dealing with them in a fair and objective way.
That's the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll on to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
2023 ADM CO2. Okay, I found it. It's the very last one. I'm going to put it last one. This is the comment. 2023 ADM CO2 Executive Committee Readability Conference. I move to amend the LPF Constitution Article 3 by striking, adding, and moving text as follows. Article 3 in Section 1. Strike chairperson and replace with chair in all instances. Strike vice chairperson and replace with vice chair in all instances. And I'll note the other sections where this is applicable as well. Strike the phrase, the duties and elections of officers shall be specified in the bylaws. Strike and replace in Section 2 in all subsequent instances. Strike and replace the hyphenated text directors at large and standardize to the format directors space at hyphen large with all three words capitalized. Strike and replace all instances of by hyphenated laws with a single word bylaws and capitalize it. In Section 2 specifically, strike in the bylaws and standing rules after shall be prescribed, and then strike the phrase deficit spending shall be prohibited. In Section 3, elections after executive committee in the title. Strike in subsection A the fragment election of executive committee. Strike and replace with odd number directors at large with hyphens. Insert the word regularly before elected. Hyphenate odd numbers. Strike, or in the case of a vacancy, hyphenate even number in directors at large. Insert regularly after before elected, hyphenate even numbers, and strike, or in the case of a vacancy. Strike subsection B in its entirety to be moved to a different section we'll discuss later. Strike subsection C in its entirety to be moved to a different section we'll discuss later. Which is my preceding motion. Insert in subsection B and use the existing text, all offices and seats vacant at any point during the annual business meeting for which the current member was not elected, that office or seat as previously regularly scheduled election shall also be elected, and then insert the text at that annual business meeting. Strike the subsection A that read executive committee seats shall not be combined. Strike the old subsection B, the officer shall be arranged in order as follows about turn action of this was done by the previous subsection B deal with the deputy secretary. That language is not changed from the notice adopted. Subsection D, the same motion as a subsection D for deputy treasurer. We already adopted that. Inserting subsection D. Text, regional representatives for each region shall be regularly elected in each business majority of delegates present to preside in the region. Any LPF member may be elected at any regional representative seat regardless of regional president. Creating new subsections that previously existed. Each LPF region may select up to 2 alternate regional representatives elected using the same procedure as the regional representative. The first alternate selected shall be the higher rate of the 2 alternates. When a regional representative seat is vacant, the highest rank remaining willing alternate regional representative for that seat shall automatically assume the seat without requiring a vote. Insert the new subsection G with new text. No person may concurrently hold more than one executive committee seat, alternate seat, deputy position, or any other position described in this section. Election or appointment to any seat or position described in this section shall constitute automatic resignation from, if any. Subsection H. New text. Individuals elected or appointed to any position described in this section shall assume that position immediately if the position is currently vacant, and at the final adjournment at the annual business meeting during which they were selected otherwise, and shall serve until the final adjournment of the next annual business meeting during which the person is regularly elected. Create a new section 4, executive committee vacancies. and then take the old subsection E from subsection 3, make it the new subsection A of section 4. Strike monthly with regular, and the executive committee meetings, and insert system in the most recent annual business. Move to new section 4, subsection B, the previously existing text. The officers shall be ranked in order as follows: the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer. The highest ranked committee officer shall preside over the LPF's meetings. All officer seats are vacant, each director at large or their seat number shall preside. All officers and directors at large seats are vacant. The regional representative shall elect a chair pro tem board from their ranks until the officers as described below. Change the previous subsection D to subsection C. Insert temporarily or before fill any vacant executive committee seat, and insert until the next election for that seat after that. The previous subsection E to subsection D. Strike. Each LPF chair may be by the same procedure for election of control representative. Select up to 2 alternate regional representatives. The first alternate selection shall be
website, but there's no purchase for it.
strike the text. A regional representative before CEO
Chases the speaker.
and insert
He's not
the
listed
text
on there.
with no Wyndham deputy alternate available to, and strike the text, hiring alternate shall be needed. Strike the text and not be subject to a confirmation vote should an alternate exist. Insert
Put a
the
note in there
text.
for
A special election to the state committee shall be done. Strike the text, like a regional representative. And finally, insert the text if it is prior to the next annual business meeting at the end of that subsection. Strike subsections F and G in their entirety. Renumber subsection H to subsection E. Insert a new subsection or section 5. Actually, renumber old section 4 to section 5. Insert executive committee reporting office. Subsection A, which is properly capitalized for non-appointed directors at large. Subsection D, chairperson replaced with the chair. There are no changes until subsection G, capitalized regional and executive committee. We strike the text. Alternates shall not serve under more than one regional representative simultaneously. In subsection H, we strike, in addition, executive committee members may present verbal reports during regular business meetings. Section 5, meetings executive committee, we strike subsection A and its entirety. Remember all following sections. In the old subsection E, in the subsection D, we strike EC and replace with executive committee. In the first instance, in the second instance of EC, we replace with. We capitalize the Constitution, bylaws, and standing rules and insert the current before them. In old subsection F, new subsection E, strike EC and replace with executive committee. And insert after publish on the LPS public and posting website the full text of to replace make readily available before all motions get considered for insert and electronic before vote. After insert bylaws and before standing. Finally, subsection G, new subsection F, strike the capitalized text special meetings, strike EC and replace with executive committee. Insert after contact information is published on the LPS public promotion website and strike outside the scope of or inconsistent with the publicly notified purpose, strikes and replace only items listed in the notice for a special. And then that's before the existing text meeting shall be active in special. We made it. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, Article 3 of the Constitution was the one that was basically a train wreck in terms of document flow, spelling, hyphenation, capitalization, due to the reconciliation process we conducted. We were able to, I believe, properly honor the will of the delegates for all the motions they passed in this section. What we attempt to do with this motion is to help the spelling, hyphenation, terminology, and consistently use the same terms for the same thing. And there's a lot of instances of that. We also reordered the document flow to split this 3 main sections: regular elections, vacancies, duties, and meetings, so that it's easier find what you're looking for. Also try to generalize, so that the same rules apply to alternates, deputies, and anyone else filling a similar role. And that we try to treat all roles as identical as possible.
You noticed that
Other than where the duties or election procedure.
they just told me, I think Mitch did it intentionally. Oh, okay.
Finally, we codified the notice requirements for special meetings and for email votes to be the same as regular votes. And in particular, we codified that for email votes, the full text of the motion must be published publicly. It cannot be only visible to the executive.
Okay.
Let's see if there's anything else you need to note. There was a lot going on this one. I think there's also, you may note that we strike the tax deficit of spending shall be prohibited. What we believe the intent of that clause was, however long we move, was prohibit the party from taking on long-term debt. But deficit spending is really only well defined in terms of annual cash flow, and that would more or less imply that we couldn't actually spend any of your cash reserves. Needless to say, the LPF has not followed this clause. So I believe that's all the substantive changes, acknowledging that this is, as a document cleanup task, this is a lot.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Mr. Crosby?
Yeah, you brought it up right there at the end, the deficit spending, is that just a redundancy? Because personally, I don't think we should be engaging in deficit spending. Do we not want that prohibited?
So to clarify, what
Spending money we don't have,
and what do you mean by that?
taking on debt,
Debt.
taking on debt.
Because deficit spending, as I understand it anyway, I could be wrong, I could be wrong, simply means that you spend more than you receive in revenue for any particular time period.
Understood. As long as we're not taking on debt, we can make those we wish to replace.
Now, we may wish to consider in the 2024 ADU a clause prohibit long-term debt without government approval. I think that would be good.
Understood.
Is anyone else seeking to be recognized? All right. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Motion.
Only the Constitution said other than the postponement. ADMCO3, clarify member rights and affiliates. I move to amend LPF Constitution Article 2, Section to strike to clarify member rights and affiliate elections and votes. So in Article 2, Section 4, we strike and replace the county with any prior to affiliate. Strike the and insert after and special elections at any affiliate meeting, replace for all prior to the elected positions. Insert in whose jurisdiction they reside, including officers and other positions elected. Insert and insert after to vote on the adoption and or replacement of and any amendment to the governing documents, including the constitutional bylaws of any affiliate in whose jurisdiction they reside, and strike the old text constitution and or bylaws thereof. So this is the motion as presented by the Rules Committee. This is an amendment to the Member Bill of Rights passed by the previous Rules Committee in 2020, I believe. And this is intended to clarify the wording, not to change the meaning. We were represented by several affiliate interesting governance structures that how the existing language applied in their particular situation. One example was an affiliate who had executive committee members elected by district, precinct committee then being the most common model. We would clarify by parliamentary procedure and tradition, you have the right representation for the jurisdiction in which you reside, but it was clearly outside the intent of the original motion, district-based representation outside the district you reside. So we explicitly clarify that. We clarified that all of our officers are elected at large and therefore all voted. We clarified that this applies to every meeting in which an election is conducted, not just the annual business meeting. There's at least one county affiliates that had an officer position elected at a different meeting of their annual business meeting. There are also a number of affiliates that can adopt bylaws and constitution amendments at any regular business meeting, provided that there's sufficient public notice. Basically, the intent is to elaborate on the existing wording to explicitly believe that already members have the rights to vote on every election in the jurisdiction they reside and vote on every constitutional bylaw in the jurisdiction they reside.
Is there anyone seeking to be recognized on this motion? Hearing none, we'll head on to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Static, motion passes.
All right, that concludes the constitutional motions for the rules report, other than the one that was voted on.
All right, so that is the constitutional motions. Next up are the rules report bylaws. Rules Chair, Mr. Greg.
Sir, hello again. Are you ready for some more fun? The bylaws are basically a little bit simpler than the Constitution this time. 2022 ABM No2 continuous committees. Give you all a second to catch up there. I move to amend the LPF bylaws Article 1B as follows by striking the text until the next election or appointment term shall last. That is the entirety. This was moved by the previous rules committee. The current rules committee determined this in order and agreed with its intent. Basically, what this does is this prevents forcibly dissolving all of our committees at the end of this meeting. It would probably be wise to let them continue operating until the replacements are appointed.
So what this does, or a member of any committee or committee chair, it's like the mob. You're in for life until the cycle.
And then noting that the executive committee does have the right to appoint, remove, add, replace committee members at any time anyways. So the concept of the term was a little bit.
Does anyone see recognized on this motion?
Give one information, would this prevent new members from joining if there's like a capacity to the committee?
The executive committee would be able to appoint any new members as they see fit.
Mr. Crosby, recognized.
Over the years, new members come in all the time. Maybe someone's more suited for a role than someone else. I think I want to keep nominations open at least for new committee chairs to come in and maybe volunteer to do a good job. So I would like to stand in opposition to this motion for that reason, just to provide an opportunity for more people to come in. If the chairs are doing well, then we should have no problem meeting.
Mr. Recognized.
I'm in a position as well. Just like from a different state, I think maybe some chairs of committees might feel obligated to stay on if they aren't having set terms. I want to speak in favor of this amendment because we need more system. We have too much term, and we have a lot of loss of the institutional memory as a result of that. And anything that we can do to stabilize membership and stabilize leadership is good.
Mr. Slusher, recognized.
I would like to speak in opposition of this. We believe wholeheartedly that our government should not have unending terms, or at least some of us do. So with that, I believe we should vote and walk the walk, talk the talk and walk the walk. So if our government shouldn't have unending terms with no elections, neither should we. Mrs. Beverly.
I'd like to speak to original intent. The intention of this was to make sure that our committees were not vacated after convention before the next, so that there was other than the rules committee, which is elected here in operation for 2 weeks.
Mr. Slushy,
May I respond to that?
may I address
Okay. There is a committee that needs to be reappointed annually. I suggest we put that on our agenda and do it regularly so it's not forgotten. I know that is one thing that our county affiliate we have is committees, and every annual business meeting they are redone so that it is not forgotten and we don't have a point where there is no committees. Thank you.
Typically, one option the executive committee has, just as an FYI, is they can hold a special meeting to work for 1 days.
Chair.
That was I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to speak in favor and in support of this motion. I've been on the executive committee now 2 years as the supervisor for the committees, and every single year I've been on the committee, we end out the convention, we don't appoint new committee members. People get appointed after that point, we get a bunch of days. We finally appoint and elect those members on as part of the executive, and then we will productive membership. So I understand the concern that some of our delegates have had and addressing the issue that we don't meet our limits, but kind of as the year committee chair has already emphasized several times is that the executive committee to appoint, remove, and modify the committees at any point. So if anybody here is really that concerned, I would highly advise joining the executive committee and stepping up as a regional rep so that you can have a say on that matter. Thank you, sir.
Compromise here, seems like some of us want to keep them, the elections open, make sure that there's no vacancy, period. Well, you know what I mean? Not elections. No. All right, sorry. Compromise here is, I don't have the written, but basically prevent to continue their terms upon reapproval at the next EC meeting, so that there isn't that 2 to 3 week vacancy before the next EC meeting. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Gill.
I would like to ask for clarification, is your intent that the term of committee members would expire at the start of the next regular executive committee meeting instead of at the end of this business meeting?
Correct.
I want to piggyback on that. Is there a way to add language to where if there's ever a vacancy with any of the committee chairs, that we set a time period of how long the vacancy can last before a new committee chair will be appointed, say 14 days or something like that, if the executive committee would have to call a meeting to do that. So if that were to happen, if a resignation were to happen, or if it is a convention and look, term looks over, then we know we have to do that within, say, 14 days. Either at convention or something like that. I mean, no matter when there's a vacancy, we have a set time frame. That be in order to amend it.
Yes, go ahead.
I believe that will be out of order on this motion because it was not part of the 30-day public notice. I would also say, just as a practical matter, even if that were included in the bylaws, enforcement on the executive committee may prove difficult because you cannot exactly compel people to serve on the meeting. And the rules committee does not have that level of authority to punish the executive committee if they don't do it, for example. So it could be potentially added in the 2024 bylaws amendments with appropriate language. but I'm not entirely sure how that would work. And then for Mr. Crosby's proposed amendments, I would say that would be a matter of interpretation as to whether it is in scope of the public notice or not, and that is something I would prefer to defer to the chair of the parliamentarian.
Spoke to the parliamentarian, I am going to rule that motions to amend bylaws are in order and we're not subject to the same notice requirements as constitutional.
Okay, in that case, then my guidance will
Okay, in that case, I would like the motion to amend. Again, I don't have specific language, but I trust your judgment.
Second.
So I will read the amendments that I think I heard from Mr. Crosby, and see if we can go with that. So I believe Mr. Crosby is moving to amend this motion to undo the strike until the next committee election and replace it with until the next regular executive committee meeting after the business meeting 4.
Sounds good.
All right, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, second, Mr. Johnson. So that is a motion to undo the strike until the next executive committee election, and we're going to replace that, is that correct, Mr. Miller?
We're going to replace we're going to undo the strike and then redo it to replace it.
Gotcha.
Until the next regular executive committee meeting after the
So what this does is instead of committees expiring at the end of convention today, and then maybe a month goes by or a few weeks go by, we have our next executive committee meeting. What this amendment would do is make it so that committees sunset at the next executive committee meeting, or there will be an opportunity during that meeting to remove the committees essentially. All right, so that's the motion as amended. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Mr. Chair, I think we need to actually vote on the amendment first.
Oh, I apologize.
And I would like to discuss it.
Okay, I might apologize. So there's an amendment on it's been motion and seconded. All in favor of amending the main motion, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Oh, you're right. Me and myself. Mr. Do you recognize first?
I am notionally in favor of this amendment since I believe it achieves the intent of the original motion in a way that accommodates delegate concerns. I don't have a strong opinion on it either way, but I believe it achieves the objectives of most of the people who have spoken. I also will note that due to a special rule, this is already coming up.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment?
Matt Horvath and Ellis. I just wanted to say, I guess I'm fine either way, but I feel like maybe being able to confuse here. You can't compel people. I think we should all understand that the expectation is if you serve on a committee, you should be actively involved in handing that over to someone else and not just disappearing. And regardless of whatever we vote on, it's not, if someone's going to walk away, they're going to walk away anyway. So I don't, you know, I feel like we're arguing over something that's kind of moot.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? All right. Here now, we'll go ahead and vote on the amendment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is now the main motion. Is there any discussion on the main motion as amended? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Hearing no discussion, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it, the motion passes.
I will say I was not expecting that alone to be hotly debated. But I appreciate people are willing to keep their mind and bring concerns to the 2022 ADM B03. Oh, no, we don't have to do that one. That was the one we did last year to codify delegate selection process. So those of you who were here last year may recall that.
Yes, sir.
2022 ADM B04, affiliate support and organization. I move to amend the 3 by striking the following text in section 9, subsection B. Striking the text credentialing regulation procedures in striking the text at the end of the subsection, this committee shall have no vice chair. This committee shall adjourn, sine die, after 50% of the counties in the state of Florida are affiliated. This is a motion as originally moved by the previous current rules committee, determined it is still in order and endorses it. The rationale for this one is that it removes some unique restrictions on the affiliate support committee that were originally passed when it was established as a standing committee. It removes the restriction that the affiliate support committee cannot have a vice chair. If this is passed, they can have a vice chair if they want. It also means that the affiliate support committee will continue operation even after half of our counties are affiliated. My personal board has to be assessed. And then finally, it removes unnecessary text giving duties to the affiliate support committee to help their the secretary can delegate when he wants. But the bylaws keep. And that is the rationale for the motion. Okay.
All right, is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it.
22 ADM VO5, declare. I move to amend the LPF bylaws, Article 4, Sections 1 and 2 as follows. To move the entirety of Article 4, Section 1, subsection B to become the new Section 2 and C with no other modifications to that text. And to replace the subsection B with the new text, the chair shall submit the name of at least one executive committee member to the LP following LP bylaws to create the initial LPF delegation. The delegation shall be amended upon further selection of delegates according to the LP bylaws and the LPF constitution. This process allows the LPF convention to be scheduled between the date of the first delegates are submitted and the last date to amend the delegation. That was the motion as made by the previous rules committee. The current rules committee reviewed it and determines that it's still in order with the current bylaws. And it took some explaining for me to understand what this does. But after the explanation, I think we agree that it's a good idea and that it gives the LPF the more flexibility on when to schedule our convention on national convention years, so that we aren't railroaded into scheduling it in February when rates are typically, or late February or early March when rates are typically much more expensive for hotels and resorts. This is something that, because it involves the intersection of the F governing documents and the LP governing documents, that is something I would definitely defer to the parliamentarian on if there's any concerns there. But otherwise, I believe it's a good idea.
All right, is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and take it to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, motion passes.
So that concludes last year's bylaws motions. Now on to this year. 2023 ADM PO1, Regional Amendment Procedure. I move to amend the LPF bylaws, Article 4, Section 5, to append a new appropriately numbered subsection and the following text. Notionally subsection G. Article 4, Section 5, new subsection, G. Amendments to the number and composition of regions are adopted by a majority vote of delegates at the annual business meeting prior to the election of regional representatives at that meeting. If no regional amendment is adopted, the regions for the current executive committee will continue in effect for the new executive committee elected at that meeting. That is the complete motion. This was moved by the rules committee, noting that we have currently no understanding of what our regions are. Many of them are. The whole definition of a region is currently completely undefined in governance other than it exists. I do not even know who selected our current 14 regions, other than I know that the executive committee amended them in 2017, I believe, to address regions 7, 8, and 9. What this motion is intended to do is to codify a process to change either the number or the composition of the regions and reserve that right only to the delegates, so that the executive committee would not be able to do this unilaterally. Since otherwise, that will allow the executive committee to alter its own composition, and that just doesn't seem prudent. That is the rationale for that motion.
All right, that is the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, move on to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Right, 2023 affiliate procedures and requirements. Contingent on the adoption of 2023 ADM-CO1, which was adopted. I move to amend the LPF bylaws Article 1 by striking and inserting the text in Section 1 specified, striking the remaining and replacing with new sections 2 through 4 as follows. Article 1, striking the word county from county affiliates. Section 1, inserting the title affiliate autonomy. Striking or inserting the word existing and striking the word county prior to affiliates political name. Insert without the affiliate's written permission. Strike except and replace aside from. Insert conducting LPF business meetings and after fundraising. Strike for establishing new county affiliates. Insert replace statewide as 2 words, but statewide as 1 word. Strike the text, the LPF may provide additional support to candidates in the county with affiliate permission, or if there is no affiliate in the county. Sections 2 through 9 are struck in their entirety in the interest of time. I will not read these unless somebody really needs us to. Inserting new sections. Section 2, new affiliates. Organizations of LPF voters seeking to become affiliates shall conduct an organizational meeting in coordination with their LPF regional representative or an LPF director at large if vacant, to adopt initial affiliate governing documents and to elect the initial affiliate executive committee in accordance with new subsection A. The proposed affiliates governing documents shall be subordinate to the LPF Constitution and bylaws and shall be required to adopt the LPF Constitution and bylaws by reference and meet all conditions of affiliation. The LPF sample affiliate Constitution and bylaws may be used to meet this requirement. B. All LPF voters residing in the proposed affiliate's jurisdiction shall be eligible to vote and participate in the organizational meeting. C. The elected organizational secretary shall submit a petition to affiliate with the LPF to the LPF Executive Committee on the standard form designated by the Executive Committee for this purpose to include Executive Committee members' names, voter IDs, and contact information, draft minutes of the organizational meeting and any subsequent meetings, the adopted organizational governing documents. If the same organization was previously affiliated with the LPF at any point during the prior calendar year, the annual fiscal audit of the prior calendar year. Insert your subsection D. Any organization petitioning to become an affiliate may conduct additional meetings to correct any deficiencies in the petition to affiliate and resubmit as needed. Subsection E, new text. Any organization petitioning to become an affiliate may use the Libertarian Party of Florida name and branding with permission of their LPF regional representative or of the LPF Executive Committee if vacant, solely to communicate their intent to form an affiliate of the LPF. New section 3, affirmation of reaffiliation. Affiliates shall submit annually to the LPF Secretary for affirmation of reaffiliation as prescribed in the LPF Constitution to remain affiliated with the LPF no later than March 31st of each year if they were affiliated with the LPF at any point during the prior calendar year. Subsection A. The affirmation of reaffiliation shall be submitted to the LPF Secretary on the standard form designated by the Executive Committee for this purpose to include Executive Committee members' names, voter IDs, and contact information, the minutes of the affiliate's most recent annual business meeting, the approved prior calendar year, the affiliate's current governing documents, any approved amendments to the affiliate's governing documents not otherwise communicated to the LPF previously. Section B. The LPF Executive Committee grant extensions to reaffiliation, and correct deficiencies therein. The LPF Executive Committee will grant one such extension by a 2/3 vote to the date of the next LPF Executive Committee regular business meeting. Section 4, conditions of affiliation. A. Affiliates shall prescribe in their governing documents the process to conduct to, at minimum, conduct regular executive committee elections as prescribed in the affiliate's governing documents, and consider amendments to the affiliates. B. Affiliates shall guarantee all LPF members residing in the affiliate's jurisdiction the right to participate in affiliate business as prescribed in the LPF Constitution, Article 2. Subsection C. Affiliates shall maintain a public and functioning website and shall publish their current governing documents and public notice of all business meetings to this public and functioning website. New subsection E. Affiliates can have processes, elected or appointed positions, or any other policies beyond the minimum required by the LPF Constitution bylaws, provided that no member or registered voter of any other political party may vote, be nominated for any elected or appointed position, or otherwise have authority to make decisions regarding the affiliate's business. Subsection E. No affiliate shall endorse, contribute money, or in-kind donations to, or otherwise actively support the election of any candidate who is a member or registered voter of any other political party, or who is not a registered LPF voter or member and is opposing a candidate who is a registered LPF voter or member. Subsection F. No affiliate shall endorse, contribute money, or in-kind donations to, or otherwise actively support any partisan club, partisan political committee, or political party executive committee of any political party. New subsection G. Due to requirements affecting the LPF and all of its affiliates, an affiliate may only raise or spend funds for federal campaigns after coordination with the LPF for each such campaign. That is the motion as moved. This is the companion motion to the Constitution motion. We previously actually fleshes out the policies and procedures for affiliation, including several that we've never actually written down before. To my knowledge, there's no written policy for how to establish a new affiliate. Region reps just kind of winged it in their best attempt at guessing. This also kind of more thoroughly spells out the re-affiliation process in hopefully a fair and objective way, so that everyone knows what is expected. Finally, the conditions of affiliation basically address actually getting disaffiliated, either due to violating state law in a way that exposes the party to liability, or actively supporting a rival political party, which an affiliated party of the LPF is charged to do business the LPF. So we kind of expect our affiliates to support the LPF. That was the motion as presented and my rationale for it.
All right, so, you seem to recognize a minute, but, Mr. Thompson first. Mr. Thompson.
Point of information, section F, which talks about or any political party other than the LPF. Does this include LP National? How does this affect our endorsements at a local level supporting national candidates generated by the national party?
I would consider, that is a very fair point, Mr. Johnson. Self-affiliated with the LP, I would say that would still be in scope and allowed. It would be obviously otherwise, but that is an oversight of the wording of the motion.
I pass the microphone to Mr. Blocka because I'm going to make a motion.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir. With the parliamentarian, being aware that there is a discrepancy here that could put us against the national bylaws. And that would be section E. Ms. Carlos, do you be able to specify exactly which part is that?
Yeah, in section E, it gives two conditions for an affiliate basically can't support the election of a candidate who's a member or registered voter of another political party, and they're opposing a libertarian candidate. So it seems to make both of those conditions, and E would seem to allow endorsing a candidate from another political party as long as there's not a libertarian in the race. The national bylaws prohibit that whether or not there's a libertarian in the race.
So what I intend to do is put the period after member and strike the rest of the sentence. So is not a registered LPF voter or member, period, and strike and is opposed to a candidate who is a registered LPF voter or member. I believe that would
ensure the conflict with the national bylaws.
So that's my motion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Michaela. There's been a motion to amend by Mr. Michaela. Mr. Slusher has seconded. Is there any discussion on the amendment to this motion? All right, Mr. Keel, you can go ahead and understand us the body.
So, in subsection, we are discussing subsection, right? So there are two things that are prohibited in subsection E. So the first thing is, the first one is supporting the election of any candidate who is a member or registered voter of any political party, or, and then the second condition would be who is not a registered LPF voter or member and is opposing a candidate who is a registered LPF voter or member. So this unconditionally blocks endorsing someone who is a member of another party. It would allow endorsing someone who is a member of no party if they are not opposing the two. That is the intent of the motion, if I got it right. So yes, my intent was to be consistent with the LP national bylaws in that regard. Perhaps it would have been better to split it into two clauses.
We are still on the motion to amend right now, so.
You could offer an amendment to the amendment.
Would you like to offer an amendment to the amendment, Mr. Tom? Go ahead, Mr. Thompson, you have the floor, sir.
This is the thing I don't like the most, right?
The amendment inception, we're about to get lost. We gotta get deep, guys, sorry.
Now we got to vote on the amendment, then the amendment, and then the motion.
Okay, so basically what we just said, I'd like to amend the chair's motion to amend, so that we put a period after the first member of the sentence. So it would be no affiliate shall endorse, contribute money, or in-kind contributions, in-kind donation to, or otherwise support the election of any candidate who is a member or registered voters of any other political party. So period, that's what period is. The period goes after the political party. That would be one sentence. And then insert, strike the word shall endorse, contribute money, or any kind of donations to, or otherwise actively support the election of any candidate who is not a registered LPF voter, who is opposing a candidate who is a registered LPF voter or member. Now, come up and show the text.
All right, so there has been a motion to amend the amendment by Mr. Thompson. Did we catch all that? I see many heads going this way, not this way. That's
It's clear as mud.
Point of information. Why are we putting the text on the screen?
That's an excellent question. Can we get the text up on the screen potentially?
Bitch, get the good word. All right, guys, while there's a little bit of a lull in action, get that on the screen. Fundraising chair Mitch has a little surprise for us in this red velvet. Guys, this is the Blood Tyrants one. Signed by Dan Urban, taxation is Steph Urban. So you've got Blood Tyrants from Merlot from California, and it says the tree of liberty must be watered from time to time with the blood of tyrants. So write it out, folks. This can be yours for a simple donation to the Libertarian Party of Florida. Enjoy it over lunch. We've got some great food. Pair it with whatever we have for lunch. Share with your friends. This is the blood of tyrants. We're going to get this everywhere else. We're going to get this all the text on the stream. We'll start at $25. 25. 25. Do I hear 50? $50. $50. Do I hear 75? $75. $75. 100. Do I hear $100? $100. 90? $90 for the blood of tyrants? $100. $100. Do I hear 125? 125 proceeds go to the LPF. If you donate, you get a bottle of great wine. Signed by Mr. Berman himself. We're at 100, do I hear 125? 125. 125, 100 going once, going twice, and sold to the man up front. Thank you very much, sir.
Y yo no te lo iba a dar.
Yeah. He's making the donation. I think it's pretty obvious. They're just a bit making it more clear that it doesn't go against one now. So instead of having it in other things,
All right, bartender. The text for the motion that is being proposed is on the screen to your left. I'm going to try to explain that a little bit. This motion has not been seconded. All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen up. The motion that's being proposed states, no affiliate shall endorse, contribute money, or any kind of donations to, or otherwise actively support the election of any candidate who is a member or registered voter of any other political party. No affiliate shall endorse, contribute money, or any kind of donations to, or otherwise actively support the election of any candidate who is not a registered eligible voter or member and is opposing a candidate who is a registered eligible voter or member.
Ladies and gentlemen, the amendment to the text for the amendment to the amendment is up on the screen at this time. I would ask if everybody could cut the chitter chatter back down and let's get back to business over here. Everybody please take a look at the screen, see the information so that way we can start to be able to move along with the business matters. We have a second to the amendment at this time. Now that we have it up on the screen, is there a second to the amendment of the amendment? Second, Mr. Bowen. All right, so we do have a second to the amendment of the amendment. Is there any discussion on the amendment of the amendment?
In front of you, sir.
Oh, go ahead, yes, sir.
Point of information, as written, the amendment section 4, subsection E, as Mr. Gill had it originally intended, it does accomplish that with the current language. So I'm not really sure if this is necessary.
Mr. Gill, would you like to speak on that matter?
Yes, so notionally I agree with that. However, I think, as I semi-jokingly said, I approach this as a computer programmer and our parliamentarian approach it as a parliamentarian, and we're arriving at different answers on that. When I disagree with the parliamentarian, I'm inclined to refer to the parliamentarian. I believe this achieves our objectives without any ambiguity and ensures that we are not seen as ambiguously being against the national bylaws. So I support this amendment, acknowledging that it's probably not needed, but the clarity may help.
Thank you.
Do you believe that is in order, Mr. Thompson? You are the mover to the amendment of the amendment, therefore you do technically get first right to speak. Go ahead, sir.
So yes, this is effectively the exact same as the previous language that the rules committee had commanded, and it just separates the two into distinct sections so that in the future the body can edit one section easier than another section. It makes the document a little simpler to maintain.
All right, Mr. Thompson, that mic wasn't working, but I believe everybody here was able to hear and understand what the intention of this amendment to the amendment was. Was there anybody who wasn't clear on what the intention of the amendment to the amendment was? Going once, going twice, glittering in, we're gonna move along. All right, so is there any further discussion on the amendment to the amendment?
Yes.
Go ahead, Dr. Nihas.
I believe that it's a very well-intentioned improvement, but putting it in the negative makes it difficult to read. It's kind of confusing because when you're talking about a negative thing, so I want to propose the same thing, but in a positive way, which I think would be clear, which says affiliates can only support or contribute money to candidates at all levels of government who are registered to vote with the Libertarian Party of Florida or the National Libertarian Party.
Dr. Nihas, I'm going to cut you off here. Having a third amendment, an amendment to an amendment to an amendment is technically out of order, Dr. Nihas, so I wouldn't be able, I would have to call this out of order, sir, I'm sorry. Now, if the amendment to the amendment fails, then we would be able to hear that at this time, so hold tight. If this amendment to the amendment does fail, I'll make sure that you are recognized, sir, and we will hear you at that time. Is there any further discussion on the amendment to the amendment?
May I just make one point of information on the amendment to the amendment?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
So this is generally saying that only in partisan races may a county affiliate not endorse libertarian.
Can you restate the question? I'm a little confused here.
Yes, generally this is made, there's originally where you could endorse a libertarian candidate, but in the amendment to the amendment it's saying that you can endorse a non-libertarian candidate if it's a non-partisan race, correct?
Mr. Peel, would you like to speak to that, sir?
Are we now being so Mr. This particular wording, it has no bearing on partisan versus nonpartisan races. It does not specify either one. The only item in question is the membership or registration of the candidate. So whether it is a nonpartisan or a partisan affiliate would be prohibited from supporting a member of another party, and it would be prohibited from supporting an NPA against the secretary.
So it's saying that you can support non-libertarian candidate.
They are not a registered member of another political party.
I believe what Mr. Peel is trying to convey here is that unless that candidate is registered as no party affiliation, so they are not party affiliated, your county affiliate would not be able to support that candidate. So if you had somebody running an NPA or a nonpartisan race who did happen to be registered as a Republican, a Democrat, a clown car party, then you would not be able to endorse, support, or contribute to that candidate unless they were an NPA.
As an affiliate.
Yes, sir. And to clarify this, that's why the affiliate as an institution, the individual affiliate members and officers still have full freedom of conscience to do what they want.
The word is just so complicated. I believe that statement's made in the original thing, but I'm not talking.
Thank you, Mr. Wozniak. Is there anybody looking to be recognized to speak on the amendment to the amendment? Mr. Fernandez, go ahead, sir.
Yes, point of clarification, please. I am reading the last portion of the second statement, and where it says, who is not registered as LPF voter or member and is opposing a candidate who is registered LPF voter or member. I understand what is the point of the amendment. That's not a question. Now, with the wording that we are stating here, it sounds confusing that it can state that possibly that if two LPF members are running against each other, that we could, and we're not supporting one or the other, it can sound like that it's going to be contradicting that.
Mr. Field, would you like to speak to that?
So, first off, I will say that intervening in a libertarian primary and partisan race has a lot of fun other legal implications that we probably don't want to get into now.
I know, I remember.
But as written, this particular clause would not prohibit endorsing a libertarian even if they are running against another libertarian.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
But there are other state law issues that may cause difficulties there for this particular clause.
Thank you.
Right. Is there any further discussion on the amendment to the amendment? Going once, going twice. All right, hearing no further discussion, we will vote on the amendment to the amendment. That was Mr. Thompson's amendment to the amendment here, so all in favor of modifying the wording of the amendment to show what is on the screen, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. All right, sounds like the ayes have it, and we are back on to the main amendment to the main motion here. So we are now voting to change, I believe it is subsection E over here now to this wording presented on the screen. Is there any further discussion on this amendment to the motion? Going once, going twice. All right, so just as a reminder, a yea vote would be in favor of changing the motion to have this wording in there under subsection E, and no vote would be to keep it the way it is and potentially violating NLC bylaws. So moving into a vote, all in favor of amending this wording, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Nay. All right, sounds like the ayes have it. We are back on to the main motion, and Mr. Nikhil, I believe I can pass the gavel back off to you at this point, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lockett. All right, now we're back on to the main motion as amended. Is there any discussion on the motion, Mr. Slushy?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have an amendment for the main motion. I move to strike subsection G completely from this motion. I do not believe the county affiliate should be the burdensome here, and LPF should monitor and know that people are running for Congress, Senate, or President. Thank you.
There is a motion. Is there a second? Seconded? Go ahead. All right, there's a motion to discuss second, and now we'll get to discussion.
Mr. Chair, so by call orders of the day.
All right, orders of the day. Technically, there's no, the agenda doesn't specify an actual time for recess for lunch.
12.
It just says recess for lunch, it doesn't actually have a time. So we're still on the bylaws report. What I'll do is once we discuss with this motion, I'll ask the body. Oh, it's the final resolution anyway. All right, great. So let's get this over with, and then we can
Call the question.
Is there any other further discussion on this agenda? All right, here
I would like to speak to this.
Yes.
If we adopt Mr. Schlusher's amendment, that would strike the clause that would render 2022 AD&C 05 out of order with the contingency that we put on it. So if we do accept this amendment, we will need to consider 2022 AD&C 05. If we retain this clause about federal elections, then we will not need to consider 2022 AD&C 05. And either way, I would also suggest my personal recommendation is to include this clause. It does not stop the affiliates from doing anything. It is a single email potentially to the EC to be informed about issues that could give you jail or fine. I think it's prudent to be informed about that.
With regard to removing subsection G, this does not prohibit an affiliate from doing any activities. It was mentioned that federal races, I would need an example of a federal race that's within an entire affiliate district at this point. There are none to my knowledge. So every federal race affects more than one affiliate. So it does become the purview of the state party and not the county in that regard. So I would advise to support maintaining section G as written.
Mr. Slusher, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to point out, while Mr. Hill believes it's a simple email, and I understand the perspective, as Mr. Tanzer has already explained to us, the word coordinate is not properly defined in this. So while this EC may find a simple email to be subjective, the next EC may want control instead of an email. So if you choose to keep section G as the body, I would hope that we would amend to define coordination because that is a problem. Thank you. Thanks, Kit.
I'll just point out that we can amend that in standing rules. All right, is there any further discussion on this amendment? All right, hearing none, we're going to move to a vote. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
The nays have it. We'll now move back to the main motion as amended. Is there any further discussion on the main motion itself? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Let's do a show of hands. Please put your delegate badges in the air if you would like to vote aye for the motion as amended. Actually, stand up. If you cannot stand, just raise your hand. You know, or all right, I'm counting 32.
That's a majority, right?
All opposed, please stand. The ayes have it. All right, next order of business.
Recess for lunch.
Next order of business is standing rules. We have none.
So, Mr. Chair, I also note that this bill is a postponed motion, so we do not need to consider that, and the rules committee makes no recommendations on standing rules at this time. So you are actually done.